Members of the audience, thank you for joining us tonight. It is November 9th, 2022. We are here for a regularly scheduled board meeting with the Taos Municipal Schools Board of Education. It is currently 6:10 p.m. Can I please call this meeting to order with the roll call, Linda?
President Flores,
Present.
Vice President Colbert,
Here.
Secretary Trujillo,
Here.
Member Spray,
Here.
and Member Maestra.
Present.
Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Turn the face to the flag. We'll go ahead and do a Pledge of Allegiance here in honor of the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is our land acknowledgement statement, and it was brought to my attention by board member Maestas that this was adopted through a partnership with Taos Pueblo, and this will be the first time that this statement will be read here at a meeting at Taos Pueblo. And the board, on behalf of the board, we're very honored to be present here. And we would like this just to show our commitment to the students of Taos Pueblo and the community of Taos Pueblo. And we are very privileged to have the working relationship that we currently have. And we hope that it continues, and the board will do everything we can to work on that. It is respectful to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that we are on the historic homeland of the Red Little people within the original territory of Taos Pueblo. This acknowledgement will oblige as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to respectfully recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Red Little people whose land and water we benefit from in this great valley today. And what a historical moment it is to be able to read this statement and be present at the Pueblo. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting agenda. Do we have any changes from the board? It was requested of me that we move up item E and item F to follow behind item A under presentations. So I would like to make a motion to move item E to follow behind A, becoming B, and item F to follow behind B, becoming C, and subsequently moving those other items down.
Second.
I have a second from board member Cindy. Could I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Colbert,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Spray,
Yes.
and Member Maestra.
Yes.
Okay, we have our high school student reporter with us. Next item on the agenda is the student report. If our student reporter could go ahead and read the report.
Hello, President Flores, members of the board, Superintendent Trujillo. It is about that time at the high school where everyone is preparing for finals. Registration for all AP tests at high school were finalized yesterday. These AP tests will be taking place in May. We had just concluded a blood drive earlier last month. As a whole, the high school donated 41 units of blood, which had been the initial goal of 29. The future blood drives will be held January 29th as well as May 3rd. The Envirothon had their first meeting yesterday during lunch. On behalf of the student body, we would like to congratulate Ms. Trujillo on her appointment as our new superintendent. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for our student reporter? Well, I would just like to comment from the board that that's a great achievement that you guys passed your blood drive goal and got 41 units of blood rather than 29 that you set. Good job, and thank the student body for that on behalf of the board. And and their commitment to donating blood for the health of the community. Thank you. Okay, moving right along to presentations. We have item G8 is our Taos Pueblo presentation.
Thank you, President Flores, Superintendent Trujillo, board members, and also in their other capacity, Mayor. Thank you and welcome everybody, guests to Taos Pueblo. On behalf of Governor Romero, who couldn't be here tonight, we'd just like to welcome you to our home, and we really appreciate, all the good work that's been done on behalf of the board and in relations with our tribal students and our education program and the partnerships that we have established. I think that we have made a lot of great strides in these past 2 years. And, for us, it was a monumental year last year, transitioning to a second term, which has never been done here at Taos Pueblo. And we've had the opportunity this past 2 years in Governor Romero's administration to see a lot of the good work that has been done, working with the board, working with our education program, working with the schools at all levels. And, we hope to see that continue moving forward, coming into the new year. And we appreciate the partnerships that have been established and the communication that's been happening and the collaboration at the level of the community as a whole, and I mean the community of Taos. And, we all support all the educational goals and objectives that have been outlined, for our children, all of our children. And we appreciate the support, from the schools, from everybody from the principals on down, at all levels, from high school down to elementary, to the middle school. And, we want to make sure that a lot of the progress and the great strides that have been made, continue. And we appreciate the recognition of the land acknowledgement and recognition of the cultural sensitivity aspect and cultural responsiveness. And we support, our children at all levels in regards to their education, on how we want to make changes as a community, and how communities should come together as such meetings as this to make sure that we're addressing every issue at every level, for the best benefit of our community, and how we can move forward and continue the work that everybody does. And every one of you here tonight makes a difference in the education of our children, on how we're able to maintain our values culturally, as we're rich in heritage in the valley. And, that's something that we should all be proud of, multi-cultures. And, that's important, that we share that, and, we appreciate and respect one another and value each other. Because at the end of the day, we are all human beings, and, we all deal with the same issues and concerns, whether it's on a global, national, or local level. And we want to make sure that this continues, this process. And having you here tonight, we're thankful for that. And, we appreciate all your work and your efforts that you do on behalf of all our students in the community. And, we appreciate the work of all the staff. We appreciate the work of our educational program, Bettina, our educational director, our Tiva language teachers that are within the program. We appreciate the support that they've been getting. And we know that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, moving forward. But this type of gathering and this type of communication and collaboration will only strengthen our process as we move forward. And as long as we continue down that road and we solidify everything as a community moving forward, working with our councils, working with the town, working with the county. And that's what we've been trying to establish this past 2 years, was creating those partnerships and those relationships, and how we can move forward as a community to address these issues as a whole. We've had a lot of good things happen, but we had a lot of negative impacts as well, and things that affect all our families. The incident that occurred a few weeks ago, that impacted all our communities. But, we need to continue to come together, supporting our children in all aspects, because, at the end of the day, we we are all here, for the betterment of our home and our children, and how we can make our educational process better. And, I think we're headed in the right direction, and as long as we continue the collaboration and communication, I think that, we're gonna be better off in the next few years. And, I appreciate everybody for being here tonight, and I couldn't, thank, every one of you here tonight. I'd like to thank Ray, I'd like to thank Ms. Martinez, some of our tutors, everybody that's here tonight. Renetta, she's been great across the board working with Superintendent Trujillo, and the previous superintendent, we miss her, too, as well, and we were able to meet with her before she left. And, I talk a lot with CJ, and, we communicate like that. It's just a phone call or a text. And, we want to make sure that that continues. And that's going to be my main goal. Not sure what's going to happen with this transition coming through, but we want to make sure as tribal government that this is solidified through tribal council, making sure that this progress continues. And regardless of the next administration, that the continuity lies within everybody here, the program people, and then the support, the board, and these partnerships and relationships that we've established these past 2 years. So with that, I want to thank you for everything tonight. I know that there was some food that was brought up. Help yourselves. It's there. I want to, couldn't thank Bettina enough and for the head start for opening up their doors tonight. So we appreciate that as well. And thank you all again tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Bettina.
Secretary, if I may, real quick, we've been meeting here for the last 9 years, I believe. And it's been an honor to do so. And we're always humbled by an invitation. And I was hoping that maybe you could bless the board and the audience tonight with an invitation and a commitment to our continued working relationship.
Yes.
Thank you.
sakto yan may nahit sa naimay tayo na metap kumay na. Yan na yaw, yan na hinayo ako din na nanunga kumay na nung tuwang na kung siya ang ba. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Flores and the board members. Congratulations, Valerie. Thank you. We're all excited about that. So I'm Patricia Sandoval, the Education Director of the Taos Municipal, and I just wanted to give a little update about a program that we started that I'm excited about with the schools, and I have two ideas that I wanted to pass through the board. And so the program, I initially met with Renetta to talk about some funding that tribes receive for extended learning programs. And we came up with ideas around having after-school programs at the school sites. And so I met with some of the principals here tonight for Enos, Garcia, Ranchos, Arroyos, the middle school, and the high school. And we got started with recruiting teachers who already work at these schools to do after-school programming for all Native students at each school site. So right now, we have a lot of teachers interested at the high school, and I'm thinking of having two groups of students there. So it's been great interviewing them. We're going to contract them through Taos Pueblo to run the after-school program, and the main goal of the program is to really look at providing, having them paired with a high-quality teacher to provide not just, homework help or tutoring, but to have like a whole hour of the program be dedicated to enrichment activities to look at students' learning level, and to have more of a small group, almost one-on-one setting with a high-quality teacher to enhance, their learning levels in, reading and math and language arts and things like that. So I have been able to interview like about 9 teachers so far, and I have 2 more interviews this coming week and next week. So I'm really excited about this program, and teachers are really excited about it as well. And I just want to thank the principals that I've met with for their support in this program. It wouldn't be happening if they weren't on board with it. So I think, thank you for wanting to partner with me and believing in our program and, sharing it with your teachers. Like I said, they're excited just like I am. And when educators get together, it's just like so many ideas come out. But I just wanted to make the board aware of that program because I think it's going to really be something that is going to be impactful for our students and for our schools and for us to, deepen the relationship and working together directly with teachers and having that access, I guess, to one another and just really being able to share ideas and, share hopefully the success of the program. But, yeah, that was one update. And one of the requests that I wanted to put through the board was we had gotten approached by another school to add the Taos Pueblo flag to their school that could be along with, the U.S. and New Mexico and then Taos Pueblo. And I hadn't gotten to approach tribal leadership about that request specifically yet, but I did talk to tribal leadership about that to, get their approval of the idea as well. But I thought that maybe it would be a nice idea across the different schools to add the Taos Pueblo flag to, whether it's a flagpole outside or if you have your, the little flags in the hallway or, whatever it is that we could add the Taos Pueblo flag to each school, just as a, another layer of Taos Pueblo presence and, honoring the relationship
that is happening, right now, and that we're growing with the schools. And I just think it would be a really nice representation of, having the Pueblo in the schools and the students, seeing the flag when they walk in or outside, So that was one kind of request I wanted to add. And then along with that, if the board approves that, then I also wanted to have like acknowledgement ceremonies when we put the flag up, but to also acknowledge the land acknowledgement that went through, because there are still a lot of community members that weren't aware that happened. And so I think, of course, during COVID, when we're thinking about events or, gatherings, we weren't thinking about gatherings last year. So I think now, maybe we can think about doing a gathering to acknowledge and recognize that the land acknowledgement went through, but also for the new flag, and have more of a, celebration, ceremony, acknowledgement of the partnership and the new flag and the new, land acknowledgement. So those were my two things. So, well, three things. Just want to thank you, and I want to repeat, what the secretary said, that our relationship has been the director for 4 years now, and it's only gotten better every year. So I just want to thank the board and all the staff here today for your efforts in working with me and working with our language instructors and with Taos Pueblo. It's definitely been a great experience, and I will, keep it going, what the secretary said. So thank you for all of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sandoval. If you could just please join us as a board. Have any questions or comments for Ms. Sandoval? Yes, Board Member Cindy.
Thank you, guys. I know that your favorite thing is speaking large groups, and you did a great job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I think you're going to be a great idea.
Any further comments or questions? I have a question and some comments. I definitely believe that the school district needs to endeavor to continue to work on our relationship with Taos Pueblo. If it was not for Taos Pueblo, the community of Taos would not be what it is. Taos Pueblo has been here since time immemorial, and we are honored to be on this land. And the students at Taos Pueblo are very important within the school district, and we want to ensure that they succeed and that they have the tools that they need to succeed. And I really am honored as president of this board. Taos Pueblo has approached the school district and would allow us to fly your flag. And that is a great honor, and something that and just in those words, it is honorable to be able to fly that flag. And I would like to consult with our superintendent on how we can go about doing that. And just a brief discussion real quick with the board here. Is this something that we could maybe make a motion on right now? Or no? Maybe at the next meeting, we could do a presentation of sorts and consulting with tribal government as to how we can go about taking the necessary steps that will get that flag up and honored and flying in our buildings. And we also would love to be partners with you in some type of ceremony at some point in time to honor the land acknowledgement and also the flag. So I will direct our superintendent to work with tribal government and you as Mrs. Sandoval on making sure those things happen.
President Flynn,
Yes.
the reason that we can't tonight is because it's not posted on the agenda. Otherwise, I'm sure we would, just so you understand.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I understand the process.
Thank you all very much. So with that being said, I will move right along to our next presentation. And I believe that is the Tester Annual Report, Mrs. Romero Mondragon.
President Flores, members of the board, Superintendent Trujillo, and careful secretaries and members of the public. What I have tonight for you is our annual tester presentation, which is a review of how our Native American students are performing within the district. This is, has already been presented at our IEC meeting to all of our parents and the IEC committee members. I'm sorry, can I just take this off and leave my back? So tonight I'll be going over data, what our plans are for the upcoming year, and also our budget that we have available as well. So first up, we have our Taos Municipal School data that's been broken out by all subgroups. And as you can see, our Native American students, when it comes to reading, are at 32% proficient rate. We did increase from 25% from the previous year, but the year before that, the last time that we had taken our state assessments. In math, we did see a decrease with our students. They went from 20% to 14%. This is something that we've seen across the board. As the school board knows, we presented all of our data to you a few school board meetings ago, where math has been a concern for all of our students within the district. With our science, our students were at 26% previously and went back up to 31%. This is a typical score for our Native American students that we see that experiential experience in learning benefits our students when it comes to the science assessment for them. So attendance rates, what we have right here is for the entire school district, which we're up at 92%, I'm sorry. We don't have an aggregated number for our Native American students. And the reason for this is that when PED gave us our attendance for chronically absent students, what they do is they take the absentee and then they start looking at, in those subgroups, who is chronically absent. So it's not a true picture of what our Native American students are. So it shows that we have 40% chronically absent, but that's out of this 10%, and then we made a pie out of the 10%, and now we're saying out of that 10%, 40% are chronically absent, if that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions about that one? Nope. Okay. So what we're doing this year for them is we have, for our students, is again tutoring at the Red Willow Center. Tutors are, Native Ed tutors are meeting with students and families to help increase that attendance. Ray is phenomenal about going in and connecting with those families, bringing them in for any meetings that they may have, or looking at what additional resources they may have. Sometimes what we find is that students need housing, or they need internet, or they're lacking in food. It's just those small things, and she's able to connect those families to the resources that we have in the school district. So she works with our homeless liaison, she works with the other tutors, with the counselors. If we need credit recovery for the students, she also works with them as well. And then if we need to, bring in tribal government,
into it to also get their support. Also, that's what Ray's office will do for us. So this, what you have here next is our high school graduation and dropout rates for all students. Our native ed students are at 56%, and we did see a slight decrease from the 58% that they were at before. Something that PED provided us with this year is looking at the dropout and then the overall percentage rate, and then we also have our memberships, and then the dropout and overall percentage rate for our students as well. What we found is that our Native American students have remained at below 10% when it comes to the dropout. So they're either they're not graduating right at the 4 years, they might be at that 5-year mark, or some of them are also taking they're taking the GED. So they're getting some sort of after their secondary credit for them. Are there any questions for this one? So one of the events that we did have this year was our back to school event, and that was held on Taos Pueblo. That was what Bettina and Ray have found is that the drive-through event is hugely successful. We had 116 families this year that participated in the event and went through the drive-through. Any families that weren't able to come and get their backpacks or their supplies were able to meet at the Red Willow or at our offices, and I think there was one other site that they had. What was that? Right, youth outreach. So students and families were able to get their supplies if they couldn't make it that day, but it was a great day. I was there helping out, and it was nice to see the families and all the students in the cars and how happy they were to receive all of those items. We also had community partners providing information to them and other resources for the families as well. Are there any questions? So I wanted to put in there our first event. We hadn't been able to go on any college campus trips, but Miss Amanda Cantu, one of our high school liaison, put together a visit for our students at the IAIA school, and we also went to Los Luceros, so students got to see what it would be like to attend college and a college of the arts. And this student here at the end actually wants to attend that college, so it was a great experience for her. Los Luceros was an opportunity for our students to actually engage with careers of traditional, non-tradition, and that's something that tribal government, when I first came on 4 years ago, was an ask of us, like how can we continue on those traditional careers for our students and expose them to those. And so this was a field trip that helped them see what agriculture could look like for them and how they could participate in a career after their high school graduation. So next up, what I have is our budget, which we present to tribal government when we're looking at our consultation, and then also in the TESR report, it's also reported there. What I won't read through everything, but what I have broken down is each funding source that helps to fund our Native Ed students, what our total district allocation is, and then how many students, or what it's divided by and the amount that each student gets, and then how much is allocated towards our Native Ed students. So our total there is $489,232.07, and that doesn't include any other grants that may be coming in during the year. So finally, our initiatives for this year is continue our tutoring services for all Indian education students, continue with our CLR training. We just had our first big training on November 1st. That was I would say it was a huge success. I would think it would be. Dr. Holly is very dynamic, and the staff liked him. We're hoping to bring him back February 15th. We have our collaboration with Red Willow Center for the after-school services that Bettina talked about. Our Tiwa language teacher at Taos High, Miss Patricia Lujan, was just hired as our, go ahead and stand up, Patricia. Was just hired as our Tiwa language teacher at Taos High. And in fact, we'll have a video for you in a bit which shows her teaching skills. It was, I had one of our coaches go in and she said she was doing a phenomenal job of having the kids speak the language. We're going to continue to increase the self-identity, so I think this goes hand in hand with bringing in the Taos Pueblo flag into our schools and continuing with the land acknowledgement. Increase the exposure to college and career pathways through AVID and CTE classes, and this is with working with UNM and Taos High School. Superintendent Trujillo has, with the UNM meetings that she has monthly, that has been one of her focuses, is the reminder to bring in our students into those dual credit courses and make sure that they're participating in that as well. And then we will have the implementation of our ELA curriculum. As you all know, we bought the CKLA program and we have our mid-school. Those were all vetted to make sure that they were culturally relevant for our students. So this year we're working on implementing those. I stand for questions.
Board have any questions or comments for Mrs. Bonderwan? I do have some comments and questions. It has been identified by the board as a initiative to increase or work on our graduation rates. And in hearing that our native students are having maybe some difficulty graduating high school, is that something that I know we're working on, but maybe there's ways that we can directly focus on that?
So this was where the work with Bettina had come from, was thinking about where we can start focusing on our native ed students and helping them pass the classes that they need to be able to graduate. So this after-school program is one of those pieces that is going to help fit into that puzzle. And then, really continuing, and something that we hear all the time is that connection with our tutors is so important for our students in making it through, like having somebody there who's monitoring them. Bettina and I worked on this year getting a schedule down of what, when progress reports should go out, sending out their data, and making sure that Taos Pueblo also had information on students who are in danger of failing, not at the end of the year, but we're looking at quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, so that they're able to provide their tutoring support services as well. So it's right up there on the forefront
It sounds
for
like
us.
you guys are taking the right steps in that tutoring program, and we definitely look forward to supporting that and seeing its outcome. I just wanted to comment that I think it's a great initiative, and we've seen it already a couple times where we're taking our students to visit colleges and giving them that perspective of what college is like. I know that many of us, speaking for myself, we're not afforded that ability to maybe go personally visit a college at a young age, and stuff like that just opens up a young person's mind, and it starts those little gears turning and wanting to maybe achieve and aspire to go to college. So I would hope that we continue to provide our native students with those field trips, and just the thought of them going to the Institute of Indian Arts is amazing. I read about that college some time in the past, and I think it's a great college. Thank you guys. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, so right along we have a Tiwa language presentation by Mary Alice Martinez.
teacher there that we had replaced, that was gonna replace me, but then it didn't work out, so I'm back at the middle school, and I really love doing what I'm doing, so it's hard for me to get away from there. But anyway, we're happy that we're still at the Enos Garcia Elementary School. We have a total of 9 students there. Our enrollment dropped. We have 3 classes. Our MECDUs, our teachers are Antonio Lohan and Joan Marcus Romero. The Taos Middle School we did have 12 students, and as of today, we lost 1 student, which we're down to 11. And I was really sorry to hear about that. I didn't get to reach out to the parent to see what happened, but I did lose 3 other students that didn't return back for this school year. And I just kind of wanted to bring that up as something that we need to work on with all the administrators and the principals, because I think that when we lose any student within our public schools, it's a huge loss. And it makes me really sad, because I know these students have potential, but sometimes because of their teachers or maybe their schedule or whatever's going on at home, things aren't working out. So I think we kind of all need to work together, and I'm really happy that with the after-school program, I think that's going to really identify some of those issues that the students are having. So I think we still need to continually need to work on not losing our students and trying to hold on to them and working with their parents as well, because that's really important. And as it was mentioned, we're very excited to have Ms. Patricia Lohan at the Taos High School. I want to thank CJ and Renetta, Bettina, Renita, all of us working together to get her at the high school. It's been a dream, so that we can have continuity from the elementary to the middle school, and now we're at the high school, so I'm very, very excited for that. Also, we're going to be working with her for the biliteracy, bilingual seal for graduation, so that we can have more students and we can identify them right away, so that we can continue working with them throughout the school year and identify those students that can apply for that biliteracy seal. Our language program continues to work on the standardized curriculum that's going to be adopted hopefully by the tribal council. We still haven't taken it to them, but that's still work in progress. It's still being developed, and there's a lot of things that go with it. So it's always going to be work in progress that we're going to be doing for the elementary, middle, and high school, and also the adult classes. The Tiwa language program continues to seek professional development training for its instructors to help improve their teaching methods. A need was identified this year to help instructors with special ed training to aid instructors for special needs students in the Tiwa classes. Training was provided by the Taos Public Head Start Program's Claire Briggs. Some of the instructors that aren't here tonight, they're at a conference, at an ethics conference in Albuquerque, so 2 of my instructors aren't here, well actually 3. Bettina and I, some of the highlights that have happened, Bettina and I participated in the EQ presentations at Taos High School with presenting our cultural sensitivity, and that was really wonderful with the 9th graders and the seniors as well. It was 3 days worth of presentations, and the students that came in were really engaged and really curious about our pueblo and why we're still here. We've survived, our people have been resilient. So to share that information with these students was just amazing. And some of the students that were kind of like falling asleep or getting bored, I just go up to them and talk to them in my Tiwa language. And then I got their attention, but just their interaction and asking questions was really wonderful. And I wanted to, I didn't get to tell CJ that, but I'm really glad that they had that for those students, those 9th grade students. I recommend that to keep on happening. I guess it's been happening all these years, but we just finally participated this year, but it was really great for us as well. Thank you. We also participated in the parade, the homecoming parade of lights, homecoming parade. Our students at the middle school and all of us actually helped. We had a replica of our Taos Pueblo, and that was on the float, and that was so much fun. Our students were, engaged, and they wanted to participate. And this was some of the students' the first time to be on a float, and that was a big, huge deal for them. So they were really excited, and the parents were involved in that too. And so we really appreciate that. We want to thank Taos Pueblo Youth Outreach and TPAC that also helped sponsor the event. And the singers that sang from the worksheets from the Fiscales from the tribal government that were there singing on the float. And of people caught their attention because the drumming was loud and people were like dancing on the street, you know, when they heard our drumming, our guys singing, so that was wonderful. We want to recognize November as Native American Heritage Month to celebrate Indigenous nations. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham proclaimed New Mexico Indigenous Languages Month for this month, so really excited about that and proud that she proclaimed the importance of the 23 nations and pueblos in New Mexico that have our languages still yet, so we're really excited about that. Some of the activities that our students will be doing, are working on, are displaying posters of the New Mexico tribes and pueblos and other native tribes in North America and the United States. So that gives cultural recognition for all students to see. You know, there's different tribes in all different states. So they have that just information sheets on posters that we'll be doing that at the middle school. Also, that we're going to be having traditional attire. I think that's next week. November 15th is Rock Your Mocks, and I know that Ms. Sarah Bradley loves to rock her mocks, as he knows. So if any of you have native moccasins, please wear them. We invite you to wear them. Wear your ribbon shirts. I heard that Steve Stucker has from one of the channel news station, radio weatherman. He had his ribbon shirt on the other day, so we were real proud of him. But anyway, we encourage our students to wear their traditional attire if they wish to. Fridays, we're going to encourage them to wear their Aiki t-shirts from our program that says our native language, to speak our native language. Also, we're going to have as elders coming in to visit our native classrooms. We're going to have native foods in our classroom, and then land acknowledgements to be read at the different schools during the maybe early morning session, beginning of school day. So, in finishing, while the public schools strive to achieve milestones to have culturally responsive education and attaining high academic success with all our students, especially Native American children in particular, we appreciate building collaborative efforts with the Taos schools and maintaining positive working relationships. We are grateful to have the support to continue having TIWA classes at Enos, TMS, and Taos Municipal and Taos High School. These classes nurture our students in achieving their ancestral language while building and promoting their indigenous identity. The language teachers are bonding with their students that gives students confidence and positive attitudes toward learning the language and encouragement with their other classes. It provides continuity from the elementary to high school with their TIWA language journey. So thank you so very much. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Martinez? Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
I'll let, I don't know how to. They wanted to read it. So when we use the Promethean board in the school, my students are always helping you with this technology. They're so smart.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to present you the TIWA language program and the TIWA language. I am at the summit, and this is Anthony. Kahima. This is Hunter. This is Joanna. Thank you, Ta'a. So again, we are going to welcome everybody, the school board and the tribal members, and we are going to start with our core values. Harlem. And all women.
First one was respect, and this one is listen.
Domino.
Thoughtfulness.
And Sana.
Creole.
Yeah.
Humana.
subject matters that we teach in the Tiwa language.
So, within the core values, we're always incorporating those into our.
Tia Hanai Metu Kalukila. My name is Alice Martinez, and we're coming from the Taos Middle School with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grader Tiwa class. My native name, Tiwa name, is Yucca Seeds. So we've been studying our native names because our grandparents, our elders, and that's how we identify each other in our Tiwa class. So we're going to start off with the first student. Yeah, they're from. Yeah, they're from. So we're grateful for the Taos School Board supporting our program. Indeed, you learned these words, how to say them. We're gonna put these words together.
So that lesson was about chopping wood, and so she was teaching them the axe, using the axe to chop the wood. So she's doing an amazing job for her first year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Board, have any comments, questions? Secretary Trujillo, please.
So is the tribal language now a written language?
No, it's not written.
That's
It's oral. So that's one of our challenges that we have. But we use materials. We create our own materials with illustrations, and then we're going to be having a book published next year. So we'll be recording that probably to use as a resource to teach the language. It's based on the 4 seasons, so we have to develop our own materials and then also bring in props into the classroom and building things. So yeah, no, it's not written language.
And the other is because some of these children are they from the Pueblo or are they from the
Yes,
Pueblo?
they are tribally enrolled members, and we also accept students that have lineage. That means if they're enrolled from another tribe, like Apache, Hickoria, but they have family here, we also let them learn the language.
Okay, because I can see that it is they learn a lot from the home environment, and so then when they take it into the
classroom, they probably just share that and what they learn at home with what you all are teaching, confirming that it is, you know, correct, Tagalog language.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's Tiwa, Tiwa. Unfortunately, during, at home, it's not reinforced. A lot of the young parents don't speak the language. So that's a problem that we're having right now, but with our efforts with the students, us teaching them, you know, we encourage parents to be involved with asking the students, oh, what did you learn today? And you know, speaking the words, the vocabulary that they're building, and somehow to reinforce it at home like that, and to encourage the parents to speak to their students or just children.
And I say that because I have my grandson in the bilingual program and in the Spanish program. And so the teacher was encouraging, you know, the parents to speak to them, what it is we know, and to identify a lot of the objects and or maybe some of the language. So we kind of practice on that. So, you know, what is going on in the home is so important to them, linking, having that link of, you know, the parents might even be learning right along with them, the ones that don't haven't embraced the language.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say
I
something.
just wanted to add on to, you know, answer your question. Yes, our language is not written. So in order to teach it, I use cards, and they're written in English, but we interpret those words into the Tiwa. So as I was telling them, because they've learned everything word by word, now they're putting those words together to make sentences. So that's why, like she said, we have to use cards or illustrations. And there are some words that are not in our language. So we do use English in between. But as the months come on, we're hoping that it'll be fluent, it'll be all in Tiwa.
So we have partial immersion, and at some point we'd like to have full immersion, but we haven't gotten to that point. Some of the speakers are just beginner level, so.
I have a quick, just some comments, ladies. And
Excuse me.
I just have
I'm
to,
sorry.
no, you're
We
fine.
also have adult classes that we have, we have them in the fall, winter, and spring throughout the year. So we encourage the students, the parents to attend the classes. So some are online, and then we're gonna be we're gonna be virtual and in person, soon. Next week, I think we're starting our in-person classes, so.
I have just a quick question, if Superintendent or Tribal Secretary or Ms. Martinez, is anybody aware of any other tribes or school districts that are doing like a language program? So there are other districts throughout.
There is, there's Bernalillo has a lot of, they have Apache, Diné, Navajo. Their language is written, so it helps them to, you know. Also Hickory, our neighbors, across the way, they have, so there's a lot of movement that's revitalizing their language programs.
I think it's very important. The work you guys are doing is monumental. You know, I look at it, not trying to be philosophical, but it's like planting a fruit tree, you know, and you're gonna see the fruits, you know, down the road by keeping your language alive and sharing it with these young students. And then they get to go home and hopefully share with mom and dad, oh, I learned this today in school, and then it kind of keeps that conversation at home going. And to me, it's historical for the district, it's historical for the federal, Taos, and our community to have this work going on. And I just want to thank you guys for what you guys are developing. You know, it's something that we started from just your language to develop into curriculum and to the classroom, and it's still being developed, so, you know, a lot of kudos to everybody that's involved with that.
And our, and our tribal government has allowed us to do some recordings as well, so that's really, really helpful to, since the languages are written, just to listen to the recordings. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and then, one more comment, then we have the Vice President Boyd. Going back to your previous, speaking prior to the video about the homecoming parade, I went to the homecoming parade and you know, it's exciting to hear the drum beats. I was there on the side, I was one of the ones that, I probably, you know, I'm very vocal, I always cheer on the Tigers, so I was like, oh, Taos Pueblo, you know, and they're drumming, and the kids were, very, excited, and I just wanted to share that there are, the Taos Municipal Schools is, your guys' school also, and to see that participation in the homecoming parade, it was awesome, and I hope that we can continue to have student participation from the Pueblo in all our events, if it, you know, if they want to participate.
Thank you. We had a couple students that are on the football team, so.
Awesome.
Tigers.
Vice President Boyd.
I just had a quick question. Is the funding for this program, through the tribal education, that's where the funding comes from?
So it comes from our Indian education grant. That's how we support, well, it supports our elementary through high school. This year, what we did is in partnership with Bettina, Patricia is actually our fully certified teacher that's teaching full-time in the district. So our elementary and mid-school are not yet at that level, but with the New Mexico licensure, what they asked is that we do pay them at the level 1 teacher scale. So to help support it, Bettina's funds is helping us 50%, and so is our Indian Ed grant as well.
Is losing those students affecting the funding?
No, it doesn't affect the funding for that, yeah. It's all based on the grant application, and we write for that every year. We work with tribal government, and, you know, we have their input, and then we go back and write the application and get their approval for it, and then PED's approval.
We also have, we're also funded, our dual language program for Taos Pueblo is funded through the New Mexico Public Education Department. We always apply for funding through them. We have other grants that come in, we apply for Kellogg, we just recently renewed with that grant. And then we also have the ARPA fund, AMA, a federally funded program as well. So there's a lot of funding out there for native languages, and we need to build our capacity of language teachers, and that's a really big challenge for us right now.
Well, thank you. If the district and the board can support you guys in any way, please reach out to our superintendent, and we will do everything we can.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Moving right along, we have a presentation by our safety coordinator, update to Mr. Marcos Herrera.
Thank you, President Flores. Thank you, board members. Pati, Superintendent Trujillo, and Secretary Lippin, thank you for having us. Good news is I don't have a long report, because it's been a sad month, obviously, but it's also been a month of, we talked about it was gonna go like this, and then start gradually shaping that culture in our schools, and I believe that we're getting to that point fairly sooner than I thought, and I'm happy to report that to you. But we do have some really interesting things that have happened over the last month. Middle school, and I believe the administration had their visit from Palms and Associates for the formal walk through the Bayview. This brings a lot of things to light involving safety, maintenance issues that will be addressed at Taos Middle School first, because that was the identified school that I walked through with Principal Quintana and myself, and both had the report and read it, and also Superintendent has had it as well. So in doing so, we're also going to bring in Jason Trujillo from the county, the risk manager again, to go in with us on taking care of things that we can take care of quickly. And then there's more in-depth stuff that we're working with Mr. Vallejos on. It's more of a maintenance thing that we're just not qualified to do day of, okay? So those things are in place right now. Tom's will also be coming to do other walkthroughs of the rest of our facilities. I don't have the exact date on that, I know it's upcoming. Buckets have been given to all our schools. Ms. Lavender and myself were able to do the deliveries, and I'm sure CJ is happy about that because we had a whole storage unit at the high school that was, now it's ready for her to do whatever she's gonna do there. So thank you to Ms. CJ for allowing the district to hold those there. This week we'll be meeting with school administrators and with, this is kind of exciting for me because it's the first time we're gonna have all our law enforcement agencies, all our first responders, OME, for the entire county, including tribal, will all be present tomorrow with us at a meeting. I don't want to disclose anything other than that, but it's going to be a good meeting for the things that our county really needs when it comes to all of our schools and even other entities within the county, we also were able to meet with, and I'm not sure if Superintendent already had mentioned it to you guys, with a new company that we're looking into for locking systems, Camnet. So, I had a big meeting with them this past week, along with one of our IT providers, and I was really excited for it. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do business with these people. They are a local company out of Albuquerque, but they're a New Mexico-based company. So having met with them, we also discussed that they're already doing a lot of work around the schools and communities around us, and I like that idea. That's a great idea. I've met with our leadership teams, our leadership team, which most of them are here with you tonight, about having safety and security plans for all events at all of our schools. And I think that's something that principals and I will be sitting down before they have any kind of a special event. I was honestly, I was going for a loop this week with the elections. We want stuff like that in our schools. We are open to community efforts, absolutely. We're just gonna take a little more time and plan stuff out so that we have, things on paper, things in practical use when it comes to having these kind of events in our facilities. We got signs up at Taos Middle School. Our track now has signs, so Ms. Quintana Martinez is very happy. We have an agreement with the town of Taos as far as usage of our facility, and this kind of gives us that closed campus feel during our school hours, and we're very pleased with that. This one was fun for me. This is a fun thing on that is I was able to participate and answer questions with our high school principal, Ms. C.J. Grace, with coffee with the principal we did it last Friday, Ms. C.J. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I hope that more of the parents of our high school kids get a chance to go out and meet with her, and she actually had myself and other members of her staff there to answer questions about what goes on in our high school programs. As a parent, I actually sat there and learned a lot that they offer to my students, and I was very pleased with that. I was also able to answer safety and security questions within reason to the parents that were there. We will continue to work with maintenance to fix all the issues that we talked about using the POMS assessment. The risk assessment is quite thick, but we will continue to work with them to make our schools up to par. We're still looking at the installation of cameras at certain areas of our buildings. We're still working on gate guards and security guards for Taos Middle School and other elementaries. We're working with, again, on the maintenance and the door stuff. I think the most important thing, and I'll continue to say it, is helping staff and students shape the culture within our schools to where they feel safe, staff feel safe, parents feel welcome, and the community in general has gives us the okay that, hey, you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So that is my report for you for the past month. Do you have any questions? Board, have any questions?
With regard to the safety and security plans for every event,
Yes, ma'am.
when do you plan to have that organized and up and running?
Those would be, actually, that's right now. As soon as there's another event that anybody's going to be having, me and the principals will be meeting on that.
ahead of time and figure
Yes,
it
ma'am.
out? And also with law enforcement, if it's a big event?
If it's big enough, yeah, absolutely. Myself and Mr. Chavez have actually done a few of these already during our soccer games and during events that we have for athletics. So those are all already in place.
Okay, and then secondly, do you have any idea of the timeline on installing cameras or the security guards?
I don't have an exact, I don't have an exact timeline.
Okay, will you update us?
I absolutely will.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Further questions for Mr. Herrera? Hearing no questions, I just have a couple comments. I want to thank you, Mr. Herrera, for actually reaching out and creating these partnerships that we have right now with our law enforcement community, with the tribal administration, and Taos County Risk Manager. Those are very important to be able to have those partnerships and to be able to work with other professionals and developing, protocol is what you're working on right now. And I think that's a great step in the safety and security plans for all our school sites and activities. Being that we have for the first time a safety coordinator within the district, it shows the community our commitment to providing a safe environment for our students. And I want to thank you for all your work. And a lot of this stuff is history in the making. It's precedent. It hasn't happened before. And it just, as the president of the board, I know the board is we can rest easier at night, for lack of better words, knowing that we're working towards this with you at the helm. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, board.
Okay, next presentation is our turf and track and state football playoff host site update. Our athletic director, Mr. Hernando Chavez. Mr. Chavez, thank you.
Good evening, President Flores, Superintendent Trujillo, members of the board, President Secretary. I'm happy to report that we're nearing the completion of the turf portion to our, Taos High School turf and track renovation. They're probably about 2 weeks out now. I know their goal is to be done before Thanksgiving break. I spoke to their superintendent directly last week, and he's really trying to push to be done before Thanksgiving so he can send his guys home and they can spend Thanksgiving with their families. As I reported at our last board meeting, the track will be completed during the spring. We did finalize New Mexico Highlands University as our quarterfinal state playoff host site. It did take us for a little bit of a loop there for a few days. They actually had something else planned that same weekend and had pulled out for a few days. So we were scrambling, trying to find a host site, but with Superintendent Trujillo's help with that, we were able to secure New Mexico Highlands University. And I actually traveled down there just today to go take a walkthrough of their facilities. We took our clock operator down there also so we could get familiar with that facility in general. With that, I stand for questions.
Any questions for Mr. Chavez from the board? I think that's another partnership, working with Highlands.
Yeah, and so I actually spoke to one of the vice presidents directly today, Benito Pacheco, and he's super excited about us going down there. He talked about the partnership that he wants to build with Taos schools. He's going to have some of his recruiters there on Saturday. They're going to be blowing out shotgun blowers. They're going to be blowing out New Mexico Highlands t-shirts and that type of thing. So it should be a neat event on Saturday.
Great, and hopefully we can get a good turnout from the Taos community, and hope our Tigers do well. Thank you. Okay. We have a special education processes presentation, Mrs. Lynn Brasher.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
President Flores, Superintendent, board members, tribal members, and colleagues. Do we have parents here?
A lot of them.
Yes. I don't have the attachment here to make this work. And if it's okay, I'm going to take this off so you guys can hear me. So what
grandchild, it's your teacher, it's a student in your class, what do we do? How does that process work? So that, you know, everybody's familiar with it. There's so many, it seems like nuts and bolts, it can get a little confusing. So what I did, and I wish I had made more copies for everybody, but I didn't because I figured we had this. The first thing we do is if we're gonna identify a student that's struggling, there may be a potential for concern, okay? We can do a couple different things, and this is generally what we do. We have screening tools, which can be, we do a dyslexia screener, things like that. A teacher or another staff member notice a child is struggling, they're just not keeping up with everybody else. Or a parent, a guardian. Sometimes we do have some physicians in the community that will send us a prescription for an IEP. I was like, well, let's slow down there. You can't prescribe an IEP. But we do go through and say, okay, there's obviously concern, we'll check with parents, and we'll move from there. So with that universal screening, which you'll hear me talk a little bit in a minute about MLSS, which is definitely what Dr. Lavella does. We can do a dyslexia screening, which is now mandated by the state to do on all students. Now, just because a student has dyslexia does not mean they have to be on an IEP, because it could be some of our tier 2 or tier 3 interventions is all they need to be able to be a successful reader. We also are using the different things like iReady, which is one of the really nice things about the new system we have. And ASQ is usually what you hear in preschool. Those are our little guys, and that's the first screener we'll use with them. And there's lots of other things like that that will help us realize, well, maybe we need to take a look at this kiddo. The next thing is we're going to see about referring them to the MLSS team, which is the multi-level system of supports. Did I say that right? Okay. And what they do is they start putting those different interventions into place to see if we can help those students within the classroom, within small group instruction, with individual instruction. It could be things like Title I reading, lots of different things that we have in there. We're also looking at social emotional besides academic, and we're also looking at speech language and to see if that's a concern. And the SAT team is who runs that MLSS process, which is the student assistance team. We have way too many acronyms in the education, but one thing that I tell people is I have a CLD and my husband has a CDL. So he, of course, is a certified licensed, or what, commercial licensed driver, and I'm a culturally and linguistically diverse teacher. So that shows you how confusing it can get. All right, so one of the big things is the parent is a part of this all along. With the SAT team, the parent's a part of it. If we look like we're going to maybe refer them to special education because they have not been successful in that tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 interventions in that MLSS, that's when we look at, okay, are we going to go to special education? And the team reaches out, the SAT team reaches out in conjunction with the special ed and say, okay, are we going to go to this next step? Once we get to that next step, we start having some of our specialists do some screening, talk to parents. What is the concern? What do you see? We start talking to the SAT team. What is the data that you've collected? What are the things that you've done? Has it helped? And our targets are academic, behavior, language, and there can be other things. And that's one of the nice things about how we've switched to the MLSS is they really bring in that social emotional piece and that behavior piece. It's not just academics anymore or speech language. We also try sooner than later. Students that have speech disabilities, if we catch them sooner and give them a lot of services, we can, a lot of times we call it staffing them out. They no longer need it by the time they're in 2nd grade. And now we put them on good footing to be good with reading. These core language skills, speech skills, the articulation also interferes with their ability to learn to read. Some kids, I won't say all. It's tough when you get older, you get blind and you can't see. Okay, so we have a diagnostician, we have several, and they're the ones that are experts in doing a lot of the academic, some of the social emotional testing. We also have some school school psychologists that do some of the more cognitive testing. They can also do some of the academic testing. They also do some of the social emotional testing that we have. And then language, are they able to use the words? Do they make clear sentences, those kinds of things. We have, depending on what the concerns are, we have individuals that are occupational therapists. We have physical therapists. We have a vision specialist who works with our students that are visually impaired. We have an O&M, which most people go, what? That's an orientation and mobility specialist, and they're the one that come up and work with our students that are significantly visually impaired and help them navigate the world, including learning how to use that cane so that they can walk around the school, walk around their community, walk around their world safely. And it's amazing, some of our kids that are visually impaired, they're learning how to read Braille. They're able to navigate the school to a degree on their own. And hopefully by the time they get to high school, they're going to graduate with a high school diploma. And I don't think we'll ever let them have a driver's license personally, but I think that they'll be able to be very successful. So once we get to the point that we know we want to have these kids assessed, we never do anything without the parent signing. We can never do what we call that initial assessment without the parent's permission. That's just, we're not allowed to do that. That's federal regulation, and it's their right to be involved in that process. There is also parental rights that you should be given as a parent with at least once a year. We try to offer it at every meeting, and that tells you what the rules are that govern this, what you're allowed to ask and see, and that you are, and I'll get to that again in a minute, the key member of that team. You are a part of that team, you're not a bystander. And I try to help make sure when we're in IEP meetings that that parent feels a part of it, because here you've got all these professionals sitting around this table, and you've got a parent that's already dealing with the situation that my child may have a disability, and now I have all these people sitting around here, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So that's one thing that's very key, is that the parent is one of the most, if not the most important member of that team, except the student. And once a student's 14 years old, they're supposed to be part of their team. Before 14 years of age, it depends on the student, depends on the situation. So then, when we do those formal assessments, we get information from the parents. We do observations. We look and say, if they've been through MLSS, have we started a behavior plan on them? How successful has it been? What's the data with that? We look, we get with the nurse. The nurse is supposed to check vision and hearing, because I've actually been in a situation where there was a young lady who was partially hearing impaired, and that was the problem. There was another little one we used to find hiding under the table. Turns out she couldn't see the board. Once we got her glasses, she still had a couple other things we had to look at, but that made a huge difference in her world. She was no longer shy. She was no longer afraid. She was able to participate. This is quite a few years ago, but I have seen those kinds of things happen. So once we get that actual permission from parents to do that assessment, we have 60 days to complete that process. So that's one of the reasons why we try to be really careful that we know exactly when we're going to get with that parent, because some of our specialists come up from Albuquerque once a month, and so we try to make sure that we're going to be able to get them there in time to get that assessment. So we meet that 60 days. Then in a reasonable amount of time after that 60 days, we have to have our eligibility determination meeting. So that's when we put all that information together and say, okay, this student may have a specific learning disability because of dyslexia, or they may have a math issue, anything along those lines, or they may have OHI, which is something some people may hear, which is other health impairment. A lot of times our kiddos with that attention deficit disorder end up with that OHI. That's how we identify them. But each one of those have federal regulations on which they qualify, and then the state has their guidelines also. And we have, I believe, 9 different ones. They keep changing them as far as areas. And we can have a primary and a secondary if that's necessary to best meet what that child's needs are. So again, that's a team decision. And some of the people that are essential in that team are the parent, the student, depending on the age, because sometimes we do newly identify students that are in high school. They're definitely old enough to be a part of that. There needs to be a special education teacher. There needs to be a general education teacher. There needs to be that diagnostician or other specialist that has been the one that's tested them. And you need to have what we call an LEA, which is an administrator for the district that is there. They're all part of the team. The diagnostician and other specialists say, this is what I found. So, and they will say they meet the criteria, but they don't come in saying they qualify. Now as a team, we talk about all of these things. Do they qualify? We also look at, is it a language barrier? And are they a second language learner? Is English not their primary language? We cannot identify a student with a disability if that's the only thing going on, because that's discrimination. They may be perfectly capable of learning, they just don't have the English skills. So that's one thing we look at. We look at lack of instruction. COVID has been horrible for the lack of instruction, because our kids only learn so much through the online learning, especially if they have a disability. So we have seen that. We've got kids that have missed 6 months of school because they've moved around and not been here. We call that lack of instruction. Is that primary to why this is happening? And there's ways we can check, even if they've missed a lot, we can do some progress monitoring when they've been exposed to see, are they starting to actually pick up on it, or are they not? We look at that. We look at, is there a environmental factor that maybe if we work on that environmental factor, they may no longer need special education. We do identify when kiddos need it, but we don't want to identify unnecessarily, because now we're saying you have a disability, and that's not really fair if they truly don't. We just need to do some additional types of instruction, which again is what our MLSS does and a lot of our other specialty programs. So then once we determine, okay, they have a disability, then we can go to an IEP process, which is the next step. One of the things that kind of going back to that, we never as a team go in with predetermination. That's why I say it's a team decision. Parents are a key part, other people are a key part, because we can't say your kid has a disability. No, everybody is a part of that, and we don't make that decision. That decision is made at the table with everybody there. So then once we've done that, we can have the IEP meeting right afterwards, or we have up to 30 days to have that IEP meeting. And that's when we develop the program. And some of the key pieces to that is a little bit about that kiddo. What are their dreams? What are parents' dreams? What's your vision for them? Now, what can they do? Some people call it PLOPs, present levels of performance. What can they do? That's the first thing. Because based on what they can do, all right, now, based on state standards, what should they be able to do? So if they're not there, that's how we write our goal. What are we going to do to get them as close as we can? We know we're not going to make them, depending on where they are, we may not get them to that absolute standard in that first year. It may take us 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But we always build to where that end of result we need to be. But what's our first step? After we build those, what are our goals going to be? How are we going to get them there? What are the interventions that we're going to use? What are the accommodations and modifications? Which, speaking to that, one of the reasons a general education teacher is so important at an IEP meeting, the kiddos are in those general education classrooms, they're the ones that know what accommodations will work, because they're already working with those kiddos. What additional things? As a team, we talk about them, but they're going to know. The other thing is, if they don't share with us what works and what doesn't, we may load on a whole bunch of real cool accommodations we think may help. It's not going to help. And then that's going to overload those general education teachers, because they're also responsible for those accommodations and modifications in that IEP, not just the special education teacher. After we do that schedule of services. So how much time do they need with the special ed teacher? And in what areas? Do they need time with the speech language pathology? Do they need time with the social worker? Do they need time with each of these? And we go through and figure that out. The last piece of that is, what is their setting? How much of that is in the general education classroom with their non-disabled peers, and how much of it is in a smaller setting where maybe it's just a group of other students at their same level, or just an individual service, those types of things. The one difference once they turn 14 is we do a transition, which is a whole big process in itself. The idea is it's now our responsibility to help prepare that child for when they get out of high school. So what are we doing to help get them to be successful out of high school? And we have middle school kids are like this, going, well, why do I have to do that? Why do I have to be on time to class? You have to be on time to work. You have to be on time to your college classes. You know, well, why do I have to come every day? Why do I have to turn in this work? Can't you just let me slide on this? When you go to college, you don't slide. So we're trying to help them, not to say we're not gonna give them the support they need, but we're trying to help them see what that is after they get out of high school, so that they're ready for the real world. And let's see, 2 other good pieces to know. An IEP should be done every 364 days, 1 day less than 1 year. You review their progress, you review their goals, you look at what you need to update. Every 3 years, we do a reevaluation. We don't necessarily have to test again. First, we look at all the data and say, yeah, they still qualify. Or, no, we need some more testing, and then we do some more testing. But we have that team meeting, they still qualify, and we create the new IEP. So I stand for questions.
Any questions from the board? Mrs. Brasher, comments? Brasher, I want to thank you for your presentation. I want to reiterate that our special needs students are just as important as our regular education students. And we're very happy to have you as a director of this program. But may I ask, how many years have you been with the district?
This is my 5th year with the district.
5th year.
This is my 20th year in education.
Well, we thank you for all your work, and I know that, because I've been on the board for 9 years, that our special ed program has come a long ways, and you've been very instrumental in that.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for the presentation, and we look forward to continuing to hear from you and work with you.
I was going to share when you said, with our special education students, one thing I tell teachers all the time, all students are general education students. Some just have special needs.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Do you have anybody wishing to speak for public comment? Hearing none, we'll move right along. Item H is our district update. HA is our administrator reports. The reports are in our packet for review. If the board has any questions for our administrators regarding their reports, now is a good time to ask. I do have a quick question regarding the Taos Middle School. Mrs. Quintana Martinez. Our safety coordinator mentioned signage. Is that regarding the middle school?
Yes, so in the past, we had, this is what I have heard from many years, that the town of Taos and Taos Middle School had an agreement that the track could be used by the community. I don't know where that agreement came to be, but there have been several times where we have people from our community walking the track during the school day. There's been times that homeless people are on the track. There's been times that they're defiant and they don't want to leave. And this has just been in the past year and a half. So I did speak with Tony Struck at Taos Youth and Family Center, and I think he contacted the town manager, and they were in agreement. I don't know if they contacted you as well. They were in agreement that that our facility, that the track could be closed during those hours. So we did get signage up finally. So it does read that Taos Middle School is a closed campus, and the track is closed from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. So it's finally up, and we have some, because prior to this, I think it happened during COVID, Mr. Cordova did close it, and there was a lot of complaints from the public because we were closing down our campus completely. So I just wanted to make sure that signage was up, that way when the complaints did start coming in on why we're kicking them off the track, it was because it is a closed campus during the school day.
I think that's very important. I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing that. It's safety minded, and it's for the safety of staff and the students.
Yes.
In regards to Secretary Trujillo, please.
By allowing the public to use that track though, there's a liability issue. And should we maybe run that by the attorney and find out if the public is allowed to use that track?
Well, there was an agreement, and I know that Tony had said that they were looking for that MOU, and I don't know, we don't know if it was a handshake, we don't know where it came from, but we know for years and years there was an agreement, and it was when it was first made, and I don't know if the
and to indemnify the school if maybe somebody breaks a leg while they're walking, who knows? Because they might say, well, the pavement isn't, it's substandard or something.
Right.
So there's a lot of issues that could come from that.
And you
Not that you don't want to allow it, but again, it needs to be addressed for our,
Well, you make a good point because, for instance, the Yakult team, they have to do a facilities use form to use it. And they have to have their insurance and cover the students who, or the children who play on the team. So you do make a good point, and I don't know, Superintendent Trujillo, how we go about doing that.
I can get the, President Flores, members of the board, Ms. Quintana, what I could do is, look into it with NIMSIA, because I know many tracks across the state are utilized for community members, and part of our insurance authority is that anyone, we could be walking and still, let's say, sprain an ankle or hurt ourselves or whatnot, fell earlier this year. And so, our insurance authority would cover in those instances, but I will definitely check on the track to see if that's also, I'm sure it is.
Thank you, Secretary Trujillo, for your comments. In regards to speaking of a conversation, and just seeing in your board report regarding the middle school, I appreciate seeing that you did a needs assessment in regards to security there, and one of the needs was the possibility of having a security guard at the school site. You guys do feel that is a very critical need moving forward?
Yes. In fact, just last week, there's been three times, they're all in the afternoons, we have, through the cameras, we have seen people hopping the fence and walking through our property. We can't identify them quite yet, whether they're adults or if they're kids. They're not from our school. And again, Mr. Herrera did go to the Youth and Family Center because he was figuring that that's the way they're going. And he did talk to Mr. Struck again, and they're going to try to see. I guess they kind of felt like they knew who it was, but they're going to try to see their cameras on their end to see if they could identify the people. But there was a woman running through our property, just running. I'm flagging her down during lunch, and the gate was closed to leave the school. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she says, well, I'm just passing through. I said, this is a closed campus. There is a sign at the beginning of the entrance. You cannot be running through the school. And she said, I didn't see it. You didn't see the big sign that says Taos Municipal is a closed campus. So we're in need of it.
Just wanted to speak to that.
Yes.
Thank you. We will work on trying to find funding and take the necessary steps to get that provided for the safety of our students and staff. I did see lighting as a need there, and I think that's also very important. I saw your statement for the need for fencing of the track. I think that's also very critical. So we will look at that. Also, being that security has been an issue as of recent, I just wanted to kind of highlight that and speak with you on those needs, being that the middle school is one of our other bigger campuses. Thank you. Any other questions for any of our administrators? I just do have one other comment. I was in the Arroyo Seco area the other day, and I passed through, and I just saw all kinds of activity in that greenhouse that you guys have out there. I saw kids with a shovel, and a teacher talking to them, and it just took me back to a little bit of history where we had a greenhouse that was stolen at that site a while back, and the community did a lot of work to replace it, and just passing by there, I had to slow down, and being on the board, I just kind of peeked in there to see what's going on, and it sort of looked like a lot of excitement. So I just wanted to comment that, something I saw with my own eyes this week.
Thank you, President Flores, and school board, and Superintendent Trujillo. We take a lot of pride in the greenhouse. It's the nucleus of our STEAM movement at Rosa Norte, and we have a lot of great teachers. Ms. Gilroy, Ms. Connie White, who came out of retirement, who's also called Farmer Connie, and they've developed spaces within the actual greenhouse where they have places to hang their shovels. They're trying to get water in there, so we have some space to kind of store things. It's a really excellent place because after they grow their food and after it's been harvested, the kids get a chance to take home lettuce and tomatoes and squash and what have you. That's a big deal for the kids and for the families, just to kind of know that the learning how to grow food is a very important part of kind of being a human being in our planet and being able to nurture that environment. So it's a wonderful tradition at our school, and all kindergarten to fifth grade to be part of that, with the section for each of the grade levels. And there's reading, and there's germination, and there's measuring the growth of plants during a weekly basis. They do mathematical equations, so they're really into it. So thank you for noticing it. I
Yeah, so
appreciate that.
it's awesome. It's awesome to see it. And I just want to, highlight that. And Arroyo Seco was historically an agricultural community. It goes back many, many years with farmland and all that stuff. And just off the cuff here, I happened to be hunting Unit 53, and I was traveling to the mountains through Arroyo Seco, and I didn't see much deer, but in everybody's yards as I got to the mountains. So all the deers in Arroyo Seco, there's none in the mountains. So another question is, do you guys have any issues with, deer or wildlife getting into the greenhouse?
We have some families who donated 2 critter cameras, and we built an outdoor water area.
Oh, nice.
And so when the animals come in, we've had porcupines, we've had raccoons, we had cats, we've had plenty of deer. And so anytime an animal comes in and actually is drinking out of it, it'll stop and it'll take a picture and start recording. And we're trying to link it to our website so that there could be a continuous running flow of those type of things that our community can actually view.
Great initiatives. Yeah, all our administrators' reports are amazing. We'd be here all night if we're talking about all the highlights that you guys share with us. So thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Medina, that is such an awesome program. I love hearing about that. And Farmer Connie is the perfect name. Perfect name. But anyway, congratulations on such, it's just really exciting. I'm sure the kids love it. And the idea of the website and watching the animals, that's really neat. So thank you so much for your innovation.
I appreciate that, thank you.
And just to highlight too, we have some agricultural initiatives going on at a lot of our other schools, including Enos Garcia, who's had one of the longest standing agricultural programs going on. I think we first started with Enos Garcia. And Ranchos Elementary has just recently started some agricultural initiatives as well, farming and gardening. So I think in these days and times, with the price of food being so high, just showing our kids the importance of being able to grow your own food and healthy foods is just very important, especially in our rural, historically agricultural community. Thank you all. Moving right along is item HB, Superintendent's Report, and at this time, real quick, I just want to congratulate Mrs. Trujillo on her appointment as our permanent superintendent for Taos Municipal Schools District. We're very honored and privileged to have the ability to start a new chapter and move forward. We want to support you and supporting our administrators and teachers and principals. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to Taos Pueblo, tribal leadership, the governor, tribal secretary left hand, Bettina Sandoval, Ray Lujan, our Tibo language teachers and tutors for hosting our school board meeting tonight. I'm honored to continue the amazing working relationship we have with Taos Pueblo, and I will definitely work alongside Renetta and Bettina, tribal government, to get an agenda at our next regular school board meeting in December, to get the flag up at all of our buildings, including central office and our boardroom, and to work on a ceremony to honor the land acknowledgement and Taos Pueblo flag. Your homecoming float was amazing. Thank you so much for participating. I would also like to take this time to thank the Taos Municipal School Board, my leadership team, my cabinet, principals, teachers, staff, and students for their confidence in me. I am truly humbled and honored to lead the Taos Municipal School District as their new superintendent. I have a dynamic team, and I'm excited to work alongside them in continuing to move the district forward, and I'm excited to work with all stakeholders in creating a positive, learning, and rich environment where all students feel supported so that they can reach their full potential. So thank you. One of the pillars under educator excellence, November 1st was our district PD day. It was quite a success. Dr. Sharofsky Hawley came in to focus and train on racial sensitivity and classroom management. We plan on bringing him back in February. Ms. Florence Miera provided training on the McKinney-Vento Act, which is our homeless act. And then we also had the afternoon, which we had active shooter situational awareness training by Palms and Associates. All of you
these trainings are mandatory by PED, so we will have makeup sessions for any staff that were not able to attend that day. This week, we had, as a matter of fact, today, the Northwest Regional Education Cooperative, NWREC, that I used to be the executive director for, they trained 504 at Taos Middle School for all staff that handles 504 for our district. Our attendance coaches met on Wednesday, November 8th, to discuss implementation of district campaigns on attendance and alignment on intervention strategies, questions and answers, and review of our current Attendance Success Act. Benita Lobato, Cristina Mares, and Sadie Quintanilla, they're actually attending the head-to-toe conference as we speak. It's November 7th through the 9th. Under Pillar for Student Achievement, Arroz del Norte has 65 students who've signed up for the Taos Ski Valley Club, and this includes students in K-5. Arroz del Norte staff is also currently reviewing iReady and iStation data from the beginning of the year data and adjusting their instruction based on what they're finding. Attendance data for the district in tiers 3 and 4 have been submitted to Engage New Mexico to disaggregate and to contact students and families with chronic absenteeism and provide those voluntary interventions. Enos Garcia's AVID focus for the month of November is note-taking, and the AVID leadership team is working with each grade level on note-taking strategies and identifying how to modify appropriately for those early grades. AVID students of the month for October they were recognized, and with each student receiving a certificate and a book. 2 AVID star students from each grade level have been nominated for the first 9 weeks at Ranchos Elementary School. Super excited, one of them is my niece. The history department at Taos Middle School met Monday afternoon along with Carla Martinez to review key changes in the revised New Mexico Social Studies standards and to discuss the adoption process for the new social studies instructional materials. So social studies is the new adoption for this coming, they review it this year, and then we adopt starting July 1. So we will continue to work on that, look at the state provided rubric to ensure that we're aligned with the standards and that it meets our technological needs via Canvas. And of course, we're looking at, the intent is to include parents that represent our special education, Native American, and bilingual demographics to ensure the chosen resources we use, that all stakeholders have the opportunity to have that decision-making process. Freshman class sponsors organize their class assembly to offer support and encouragement for students on their path to success. And after-school credit recovery and tutoring have started at Taos High School. Students can attend after school or lunchtime during tutoring to get support in academic classes. Under community communications and relations, as they stated earlier in some of their, I believe it was Ms. Marialis, as we commemorate National Native American Heritage Month, which is Tuesday, well, it's the whole entire month, but Tuesday, November 15th is National Rock Your Mocks Day. So on behalf of Taos Municipal Schools Indian Education Program, we would like to invite and encourage all students and staff to wear their moccasins to school on Tuesday, November 15th. Rock Your Mocks at school is to proudly honor our ancestors and indigenous peoples from all over the world, and this event is a way to honor one's indigenous heritage, but it's not limited to only Native Americans. It's also a way for non-natives to unite with Native Americans and honor the positive influence that Native Americans have had on their life. So for more information, there's an actual website that I'll provide, and then we just want to thank you for participating and honor our indigenous people and the contributions they've made to the world we live today. Parent-teacher conferences were held on Wednesday, October 26th. Taos Middle School will be honoring all who served in the military. Taos Middle School presents a Veterans Wall. It has been put on pause because of COVID, but this year they will have their 7th annual exhibit and breakfast at the Taos Middle School cafeteria on Friday, November 11th from 9 to 10:30. All veterans are invited. In honor of Native American Heritage Month, Taos Library will be hosting a book signing and reading with Jonathan Warmday. Western Sky Community Care will be having a Thanksgiving grocery giveaway on November 18th from 11 to 2 at the Taos Youth and Family Center. Bags will include every item to make a full Thanksgiving feast and get our community ready for the holiday. Taos Loves Kids is offering a Nurturing Fathers class to support skills skills for male nurturing, communication, problem solving, balancing work and fathering. There's gonna actually be 4 sessions starting on November 30th from 5:30 to 7 on Zoom. So if you want to register, please reserve your spot and get the Zoom link. I can provide the phone number on who to call. On Friday, October 28th, Enos Garcia Elementary Pre-Kindergarten class of Katie Cardenas hosted a grandparents event in the Early Childhood Building multi-purpose room from 2 to 3:30. Mrs. Cardenas explained our pre-K program to grandparents. Our district literacy coach, Leilani Montano, read a story, Llama Llama, Grandma and Grandpa, and students and families worked together to create paintings. Thank you, Enos Garcia staff, for such a successful event. Enos is also partnered with the Santa Fe Depot, as I mentioned before, and they opened up a food pantry in their school. So through this partnership, Enos receives non-perishable fresh food, so meats, eggs, fruits, and vegetables every 2 weeks for families and staff members. So the food pantry on they opened it up on October 28th, and in the last few days since then, they have been able to support 41 individuals and 28 of them who have been children. So partners and volunteers are supporting and staffing that pantry. In partnership with DEAF Youth Programs, Enos is also hosting a flamenco after-school week facilitated by the renowned flamenco artist La Emi from November 14th through 18th. So that's next week, and Enos will host a performance for students and parents on Friday, November 18th at 12:40 p.m. So everyone's invited. It will be held in the auditorium. So please try to attend that awesome event. And there's also an alternative gift fair that Enos Garcia has been invited to participate in with the First Presbyterian Church. It's the first ever alternative gift fair. It's on Sunday, December 4th from noon to 2. Individuals are encouraged to make a donation to their favorite institution during this event. And First Presbyterian Church is part of the Enos Garcia Elementary Community School Council. Super excited that our AD, Mr. Chavez, stated earlier, our District 2 4A our football team is District 2 4A champions, and their number 3 seeded the Taos Tiger football team. They're going to be taking on number 6 seed Albuquerque Academy Chargers this Saturday, November 12th at 1 p.m. at Sanchez Stadium at New Mexico Highlands University in the quarterfinal round-off of state playoffs. For state games, we just want to remind everybody that no season passes or sports passes will be honored, and only state passes purchased through the NMAA will be recognized. So please go to your GoFundMe page to get your tickets. This is a state-sponsored event, and tickets are set by the NMAA. $10 for adults, $5 for students or senior military. So come out and join us on Saturday afternoon in helping us cheer on our Tigers. Last pillar is on safety and wellness. Our family reunification training will take place tomorrow, November 10th from 9 to 11. We are also working on getting security guards. Thank you for mentioning that for each of our campuses. Those will be phased in as funding permits. And school sites have started implementing the rave panic button and staff assist. Administrators are meeting with their staff on the rave panic button and meeting with the representative to set up the individuals, blueprints, and geofencing for their sites. And the training will continue. Dr. Lubella is working on building reporting teams for the Stop It program, and it's actually reporting app. Employees are continuing to finish up the required trainings by New Mexico PED on vector solutions and NMSU. And then we will continue working with Taos County Manager, Risk Manager Trujillo to continue to identify our risks across our district and update our plan to address those identified risks. This past leadership team, I had the pleasure of inviting Punya Upadala to my leadership meeting on Monday to provide breathing exercises for my leadership team and to also do another valuable exercise to increase that communication amongst one another. And I will continue to build that. So I'm part of the Taos executive leadership team in the community, which is a lot of the CEOs of our town. And Punya is one of those leaders who actually oversees that executive group. And he was pretty instrumental in getting you guys to relax. So thank you.
Thank you for your report, Superintendent Trujillo. Does the board have any questions for Superintendent Trujillo in regards to her report? Hearing none, that was a wealth of information. Thank you for that update. We're trying to go back and see if I can throw something at you there, but it was good. You mentioned the security guards kind of phased in. I think that's a great initiative, something to maybe think about too. I don't know if we could get a security guard at every site every day, but maybe through some kind of agreement, we could have maybe the security guard certain days out of the week at certain sites and kind of maybe mix it up to get some kind of presence there. Just a thought, I guess. Okay, so moving right along to item I, Finance Office. I1 is our budget adjustment request. And I will go ahead and I believe I'll turn this over to Mrs. Monica Martinez. Yes.
President, board, members of the board, I just wanted to take this time to thank Ms. Monica Martinez. She is our food service manager, but she has stepped up to a huge role. She is now our interim finance director for the time being. We're hoping to continue the interim piece, but she's holding two huge things, and we just want to thank her for the willingness to help us out in this time.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. I go on and do this, and happy to be of assistance in any way that I can. I'm here today to present the bars for approval, and we have 3 bars today. We have the Community Schools Implementation Grant, and that's bar number 076-000-2223, 0017T, that's a transfer bar in the amount of $32,085. So that bar is to move budget authority where needed. So it's being moved from function to function. So it's a transfer bar. 29102, which is a private direct grant. This is our fund that has any of our private direct grants managed. So this bar is 076-000-2223-0018 initial budget. And so this is in a budget in the amount of $21,000. And that's for private direct grants. And then 24118, which is a fresh fruit and vegetable, which is an initial budget 076-000-2223-0019 which is increase. And that's for purchase of food items for fresh fruit and vegetable snack program. So there are 3 bars that I present you this evening for approval. Do you have any questions?
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Martinez? I just have one, just clarifying question, or just to elaborate on. So the private direct grant,
Okay, so this is, I have to do a little bit of my research on this too. So this is a SEL grant that was awarded to the district in the amount of $21,000. And so any monies that are awarded to the district fall under this fund, and we track them separately. So this one is an SEL grant in the amount of $21,000.
that can answer my question. Just wanted some clarifying information on that.
I have a question.
Yes, Secretary Trujillo, please.
I'm curious why, if it's, you're increasing the budget by 21,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is it in brackets?
It's just the 21,000 increase, but it's not a negative, it's an increase, and that's how our budgets read.
That's how your budget's reading? Okay. And
It
then
is,
the other
it
one,
is an increase, though, it's actually an initial budget. It's not, so there's many grants that fall under that 29102, because that is private direct grants.
no, I was just curious about the negative.
No, it's not a negative, it's initial.
Thank you for those clarifying questions. As board members, we do not know everything by far, and a lot of our questions are so.
No, and that's fine, because if I don't know the answer, I can do the research and try to, follow up to the best of my ability, because I am trying to do my research and figure where we need to pick up to continue forward and continue the day-to-day, procedures.
For that.
Yes,
We appreciate that.
We need to continue moving forward and have the day-to-day operations continuing.
And I'm not sure if the board is aware, but Ms. Martinez has served in the past in the capacity as finance director for the district, a business manager, and she moved over to food services director. So she has a wealth of experience and knowledge that she brings to the district. We're very thankful for her. Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
I appreciate it.
So Superintendent Trujillo, do you have a recommendation on item I, A, B, and C?
Yes, Board President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the bar budget adjustment request A, B, and C.
We have the recommendation from the superintendent for approval. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion from Vice President Belair for approval. I will second that motion. Can I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Bolair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Spray,
Yes.
Member Maestra.
Yes.
Item I2 is the financials. They were there just for review purposes. If you have any questions regarding those financials, please, for the board, contact our superintendent, and she will reach out to Ms. Martinez for some clarifying answers. So thank you, Ms. Martinez, for your
You're welcome. Thank you.
Item J is old business. JA is our second reading, school board policy D 2450. DJ contracts for purchases and services. So we did an initial reading at our last board meeting regarding that policy. And this is our second reading of the policy. And this is for final approval?
Yes, for final approval tonight.
All right. Does the board have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the policy approval before us? And this is the policy that we discussed in a working session and has been drafted so far to become policy. Hearing no questions or concerns, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve item JA of old business, which is the second reading of our school board policy D 2450 DJ for contracts for purchases and services. Can I get a second?
Excuse me, Valerie, don't you need to read those again?
We don't need to read them, it's in the packets and it's the same language, nothing's been
Okay.
changed.
Gotcha.
We could read it if you want.
Thank you. No, that's fine. No, I just wanted to make sure we didn't
No,
have.
I mean, it's not, if we can read it though, it's not an issue by any means, so we're happy to.
No, I listened carefully last time. I just want to make sure.
Sure.
Thank you that we didn't have to
Sure.
read it. Thank you, President Flores.
All right, great. So I made a motion for approval. Can I entertain a second?
Second?
I have a second from member Cindy. Can I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Bolair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Spray,
Yes.
Member Maestra.
Yes.
Moving right along, item JB of old business is also a second reading that follows our first reading that was done at our last regularly scheduled board meeting. And it is in regards to school board policy D 2750 DJE. And this covers bidding, purchasing procedures. And this is approval item. This is our second reading. I will go ahead and make a motion following the motion for JA to also approve JB, our second reading of school board policy D 2750 DJE, which covers bidding and purchasing procedures for the district. Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a second from Vice President Bolair. Can I get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Bolair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Spray,
Yes.
Member Maestra.
Yes.
All right, that's actually some historical policy making by the board, and I want to commend the board and our administration, our superintendent. The board has, in its official capacity, developed and established in working with our superintendent and legal counsel, a purchasing policy for the district. So I want to give the board a round of applause. It's been a long time in the making. Okay, moving right along, J, C of all business is our 2022-2023 revised amendments to and from school bus operator contracts. And this is an approval item to be presented by Mrs. Esther Winter, our transportation director.
President Flores,
Hello, Ms. Winter.
President Flores and members of the board, Superintendent Trujillo, I am going to ask that these be tabled until next month. I am not confident in the numbers that I'm reviewing.
Okay.
I didn't take the time to check the figures, and the numbers that were presented last month, or the last board meeting, was based on 175 school days when we actually have 174.
Okay.
And sitting here in the calculations, I would be hesitant at this time, so I'd want to go back and look at these figures myself and represent them.
Well, I want to commend you and thank you for coming forward and letting us know that and doing your diligence in checking those numbers. And I will go ahead and make a motion to table this with your advisement for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I will make a motion to table item JC 2022-2023 revised amendments to and from school bus operators contracts to be presented at our next regularly scheduled board meeting.
Second.
I have a second from board member Cindy. Could I get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Goller,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Sprague,
Yes.
Member Maestra.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Winter, and I also want to thank you for your time spent with us on Monday. You were there pretty much all night with us in that special meeting, and it definitely shows that you go above and beyond, so I appreciate it.
And thank you. Appreciate it.
Item K of new business, KA staff conflict of interest employee forms G-0731. These are presented in our packet for review. It is an approval item. And it also follows in line with KB, staff conflict of interest, employee disclosure of outside employment, G-0732. This is also an approval item and is presented in our packet for review. We have these presented, we've been getting these presented to us regularly, and so it's becoming a good practice by the district and the board. Having these here, I will go ahead, as president of the board, make the motion to approve item K, A, and B, which covers staff conflict of interest employee forms G-0731 and conflict of interest employee disclosure of outside employment G-0732.
Second.
I have a second from member Cindy. Can I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Goller,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Sprague,
Yes.
Member Maestra.
Yes.
All right. Item KC is our first financial board resolution / third-party administration contract / investment advisory service agreement / master custodial account administration agreement / investment policy statement joinder agreement. And this is an approval item to be presented by Mrs. Nicole Brown. Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Flores.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Superintendent Trujillo. Thank you. And distinguished board, a few months ago, I presented to you all via Zoom about the 457 plan. Since then, we have sent documents and they have been reviewed by your legal counsel with a few revisions. One being how you all are named in that contract as a public entity. The other being that this contract is looked at every 4 years. As a board, talking about historical things you guys have done tonight, should you approve and sign off on the board resolution, that would be historic and be in place forever with the Taos schools, meaning that the 457 plan would be allowed to be presented and enrolled in by your employees of the Taos Municipal Schools forever. Not necessarily with the same vendor, but that it's in place. As we discussed, sorry, my glasses keep falling with the mask, and they'll fall right off, and it'll be a big Velma moment, so I apologize for touching my face there. But doing so with this amendment, you are allowing your employees to have an access to a
that allows them to have lesser restrictions on accessing their money when they need to, and ideally recruiting and retaining those employees in a long-term outlook as employees with the district towards retirement, possibly prior to 59 and a half. So as you continue to educate your children and want them to stay in the community, they may retire sooner than 59 and a half, and this allows them to take that with them. So I just wanted to review what these documents are. One does have to be presented and signed by the board, which is that resolution form. This is just naming that as of right now, TCG would be the administrator of this 457 plan. We also would need the names of people at the district that you authorize on behalf of the district to make any decisions on that plan. Usually we recommend you have at least two. Your superintendent and a backup to your superintendent. Could be your finance director, could be anybody on the board, but we do highly recommend you have two people that can easily be changed at any time with just something in writing to TCG. The other documents on this list that we've talked about, the administrator agreement. This is TCG's duties to the district. This includes things as keeping you in compliance with IRS regulations and as they are changing, ever-changing with retirement stuff. Training of your school staff, and keeping your information confidential. That's a big one. First Financial and our affiliates of the vendors that we choose to partner with are not allowed to share your information without your district's approval prior to doing so. So to me, that's a big one. The investment advisory agreement allows TCG to review your portfolio quarterly. They can also present to you as a board. I'm very thankful you've given me some time on your board agendas because I really value the partnership we've had with Taos since 2009. And I think it's important that you guys know some of these things that are being offered to help try to recruit and retain quality top talent in your district. So thank you for that time. TCG can always present, as can I, to you on a regular basis. Maybe you don't want to see me quarterly, and that is fair. But maybe semi-annually or even annually, how the plan is performing, how the investments are going, so you are involved with the process of seeing how that plan is operating. TCG is also required to review your investments and the options that are offered quarterly, which just means that if they see a fund that's not performing properly, they can make a recommendation to you to change that out for something better. So they're constantly keeping an eye as part of their agreement onto those investments and those options that your district has. They also are required to deliver statements quarterly to any participant in the plan. So that is a requirement that they have to achieve. The last one is the Matrix Trust Custodial Agreement. And this is just saying that you guys acknowledge you are a public entity. You are allowed to offer a 457. It is only allowable for government entities. So private sector people cannot contribute to a 457. It's one of the perks the government tries to allow for public entity stuff versus a 401k, which is very much like your 401k being very restricted when accessing your money. The jointer agreement does not need to be signed because you are brand new to operating 457. So I did let Ms. Linda know to pull that off the table because it's not needed for you guys. There's no plan in place currently. Do you all have any questions for me?
Any questions for Mrs. Brown?
I have a question.
Yes.
How did this come about? Were you contacted by our superintendent? Like, how did, if this is a new plan?
So, First Financial is your guys' benefits administrator, and we have been since 2009. Your finance director actually reached out to us because quite a few employees have contacted us in the past wanting to sign up for a 457 because they have come from other districts. Taos was one of the few that does not currently offer that plan. So employees do like the option of being able to access their money sooner than 59 and a half and have those less restrictions. Plus, some of the fund options are something that you cannot get in a 403. So people that are familiar with the market and know how to invest are looking for some of that. So they brought that to our attention. It turned out at the time that was brought to our attention, First Financial actually did an RFP for 457 administrators. So we are constantly shopping our benefits to make sure we've got the best thing on the market sure that your employees are taken care of. I could never do what you, or gosh, Ms. Trujillo's team do, that's not me. But what I do pride myself in is that we take care of those who serve our children and try to make an effort in the future. So, that's how it came about to us, is so we did take it out to bid, so your due diligence is done on your behalf, and that's something First Financial does with all your benefits at no cost. So we're trying to take some of that off of you in that respect, and then present the best option that we have found. Less fees, there are no fees tied to this, there's no cost to the district in implementing the 457, it's strictly just an employee contribution plan. But we did your due diligence for you, and that's a part of our agreement with you.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Secretary Trujillo.
So this is in addition to the retirement?
Correct, so it's just
This is
additional
optional.
retire, correct, totally optional. Employees get to elect the amount they contribute. The IRS did announce a few weeks ago, so from when I was here the last time to now, they did increase that maximum amount for 2023. So, employees can put up to $30,000 if they're under 50, and an additional $6,000 if they're over 50. So, it can be great for I'm a big proponent for retirement, but it is in addition to your retirement fee.
Okay, and then the other question that I have is, there is a fee between the financial group and the employee, correct?
That is correct. It's the lowest one we have ever had. So current 457s that we have in other districts are about 1.25% a month. This one is 0.038%. So it's
0.0238?
yes. So it's very low.
Can you rephrase that zero, the percentage?
It's 0.038. So it is quite low compared to that. And there's no other upload or upfront charges, so there's no charges where other 457s do charge a flat fee or a monthly fee.
And the other question is, they're allowed to access their money, but there's a certain criteria, and it isn't a savings account. They have to realize that it's not a savings account. They're going to be investing, and it's, again, there's criteria in taking that money out, and then it's taxable, because right now, it wouldn't be taxable, correct?
Correct. So I appreciate that you're very knowledgeable about this, Secretary Trujillo. One of the things First Financial does is we do offer individual meetings with your employees, but we will work with Superintendent Trujillo and your business team to set up presentations. When we do sign people up, we do inform them. It's a huge part. This is a retirement account. It is not something that, like you said, exactly. It's not a savings account for any emergency. We do our due diligence and we talk to people. Do you have money in savings? That's making sure we got our priorities in check here, so we're not having to try to access that money while people are working here. You are also correct. It's a deferred compensation plan. So we are deferring the tax now with the thought process when somebody retires, they're going to access this money later on and be in a lower tax bracket at that point, so they will actually pay less on what they're taking out. So everything you said, you were spot on. You can come with me and we'll walk around and we'll do the stuff together.
Oh, well, I always liked to make sure that people understood.
Absolutely.
And there's extenuating circumstances where, again, you point that out to them. And either the separation, if they decide to retire, or they quit or something
Right.
like that. Or, again, they might have maybe an emergency that is above and beyond anything catastrophic.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Correct. So you are correct. 59 and a half. When they terminate employment with the district, they can access their money. Like I don't like to use the Q word, right? Nobody ever likes to talk about people quitting, but you're correct. When they quit, when they retire, they have access to their funds immediately. If they are still employed with the district and need to access their funds due to a hardship, they just have to submit some paperwork and stuff supporting that, whether it's medical bills, stuff for housing, deaths, things of that nature. And those are approved pretty quickly, so people get those funds on a timely basis. We do have people that come to us that are like, hey, I'm looking to buy a boat, and I need some money, and we don't approve that, because that's not the purpose of it. But you are correct. We are big in educating aspect of this benefit in the hopes that we're making sure we're getting them taken care of for the future. If they don't have a savings account, we're gonna tell them, hey, maybe we hold off on this, you build up some savings this year and next year, you come back to your retirement. So you can live a good, retirement life because you worked really hard here while you're here. So absolutely correct. That's a number
And
one.
then the other one is that if they decide that they don't want to continue it, they can just put a hold.
Correct, so they can start or stop this at any time. So this is a huge exception to the 125 rule of pre-taxing benefits. Even though this benefit is coming out pre-tax, the government does say that you can start or stop, change at any time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great conversation between you two there. Thank you for the information and good.
You guys are one of the most knowledgeable boards I've ever talked to, so I think it's fantastic.
Thank you, Secretary Trujillo, for those questions. Appreciate it. It's great to have a board where each individual, has specializes in different aspects and they bring it all to the table.
Yes.
And helps us all. Okay, so this is an approval item. I'm gonna ask our superintendent for her recommendations and blessings on this.
President Flores, members of the board, I recommend approving the first financial board resolution, third-party initiative contract, investment advisory services agreement, the master custodial account administration agreement, and the legal amendment.
Correct. Okay, so we're not gonna do the investment policy statement during the agreement. We have a recommendation from Superintendent Trujillo. Can I entertain a motion for approval?
So moved.
Vice President Golair, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Secretary Trujillo for approval. Can I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Golair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Sprague,
Yes.
Member Maestas.
Yes.
And I'll take a commission.
Talk to me after the meeting, correct?
Hey,
I got a job for you.
This is all being recorded, guys. Thank you,
Thank
Mrs.
you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown, for venturing out here with us tonight.
It was my pleasure, thank you.
Okay, so moving right along is our consent agenda, item L. Oh, my goodness, Ms. Brasher, how can I do that? So we have item KB, thank you, Vice President Blair. Special education caseload waiver request, 40th day count, Mrs. Lynn Brasher.
Okay, so good evening again, President Flores, Superintendent Trujillo, and board. We do counts 4 times a year, okay, and some of the things in special education, a special education teacher is only supposed to have so many students on their caseload, and depending on the level of their disability, they have, I didn't want to be on camera. It assigns a certain value, and they should only have a 1 FTE. We have a shortage of special ed teachers at the high school, at the middle school, and in special education right now. We do have some contract teachers, but because we have special ed teachers that are over their caseload, we actually have to file for waivers with the state under the circumstances, many of the districts in the state are in this position, but we also have to give what our plan is, which is, of course, recruiting more special education teachers through some of these contractors and whatever else we can do, so that we can maximize the benefit to our students, because we don't want to overload our special education case managers. So I did submit it already, pending. I will resubmit it once I have your approval.
Right, I'm going to just get our superintendent's blessing. Do you have a recommendation on this?
President Flores, can I ask a question?
Oh, please.
Thank you. So, this was something I remember seeing that is in statute, the ratio.
Yes.
And that it requires the waiver when we are beyond the ratio.
Yes.
So, question to either yourself, Ms. Brasher, or to Mr. Hill or Superintendent. This is not something that I've seen before, although I knew we needed to do it.
We have been very fortunate that we have not been so short in teachers. There's still vacancies that we've not been able to fill. So we get to share across everybody else. And we are looking, we actually brought an additional special ed teacher on at Enos just about 3 weeks ago. I think she started, so we're good there. And it's an ever-moving process. So.
But we have not been, I don't remember seeing this come before the board in the past.
I have not had to do one since I started.
I guess I don't quite understand it fully. So
No, it has nothing to do with testing. So when we figure out and it's figured on a 1.0 FTE, which is that full-time equivalent, but they figure the caseload, so, one student could be considered a 0.029 FTE. Another student a 0.043, don't quote me on the exact numbers, another is a 0.067, and another is a 0.125. And it depends on the intensity and the level of the needs of that student. So if you have students that have a lot of needs, you may only have 8 students on your caseload. Doesn't mean you're not going to be teaching other students, but those are the ones that you're responsible for the IEP and all of those pieces. If you have students that are at the level of a 0.023, you could actually have 31, 32 kids on your caseload. And it's usually a combination of all of those, and we try to keep it no higher than that 0.1 or the 1.0 FTE. We have some teachers, the highest one I think, and I believe it's on there, was a 1.25 FTE. Because we are that short on teachers. So it is being spread around, and we have to let the state know, yes, we're over what statute is we're allowed to have, and this is what we're trying to do to rectify it. And they did tell us in a training about 6 weeks ago, I think I went through, that it is a real serious situation throughout the whole state, and that they will not approve anybody with a 2.0 FTE. That they will not do a double caseload, but they know that they're going to have a lot, and the people that we have helping us gather that data, the contractor that we use, she says she's done more with all of the districts she works with this year than she's ever done.
So if we approve this waiver here, then it will be sent off to.
Right.
To TD.
Right.
And the waiver pretty much states, while, of course, we're sending off the waiver, because we're short-staffed, and kind of a plan as to how we're gonna be tackling it or
Right.
improving it.
And one of the things I'm fixing to put out some more RFPs, because I still have other contract companies reaching out that have special education teachers. So I'm gonna do some RFPs that I can actually work with several instead of just being tied to one, so that we can take advantage of some of those other potential candidates that are interested in coming to Taos.
Yes, Member Cindy?
Thank you, Mr. Bradford. Is there a sunset date for the waiver, or what happens when you don't need it anymore?
I have to do it every, at every count date, and I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it every reporting date?
Yeah, every reporting date, which is the 40th, which we just validated that, and the 80th is in a month. And then we do one on the 120th day and one at the end of the year. I don't know for absolute there's not a sunset, and I will check.
I just wondered if every year we would have to do this, or if it would go forever, or.
I have to do it every time. I would say if it becomes systemic or constant, they may question why we can't get teachers here, but they would be questioning virtually every district in the state.
Right, gotcha. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Member Mises?
Thank you, President Flores. So a follow-up question. This is specific to special education, but I believe there is a similar ratio in statute for general education. Are we meeting that?
We haven't needed to do that waiver, because it would have picked up on our 40th day, and we would have been flagged. So once we get flagged, then we do that. And sometimes you even have to do waivers for highly qualified. So, but right now it's under the special education program.
Further questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so it kind of seems like it's something that we must do, something we're working on, and it's something that we're not the only district that's having this issue. So Superintendent Trujillo, do you have a recommendation in regards to this?
Yes, President Flores, members of the board, I recommend approval of the special education caseload waiver request for 40th day count.
So move to approve.
Second.
Second from Member Cindy. Can I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Golick,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Spray,
Yes.
Member Maestas.
Yes.
All right, we have item L, consent agenda, requisition listing, excuse me, back up real quick. We got item L, consent agenda, L1, contract MOUs and requisition listings. 1A, requisition listing from Mrs. Mondragon, and 1B, requisition listing from Mrs. Monica Martinez. Would you guys just briefly, could you share with the board a brief description of your requisition listing?
President Flores, members of the board, superintendent Trujillo. Our two requisitions, the first one is from cabinet, that's for, control access doors for administration building. Ms. Trujillo met with, Dimitri, I forget his last name, Albert, yes. We connected with cabinet to look at the admin building and getting that, with the card access. They did provide us with a quote, and they are a CES vendor, so we're able to go with them. It was significantly lower than one of the other companies that we were looking at. We're gonna start with admin and then move on to the high school. Keeping in mind that admin does have cyber magnet at the admin building, so that is one of our school sites that does need to be secure. The other,
May I speak?
yes.
Sorry. With Renetta, meeting with Camnet, just so you guys know, Camnet and Dimitri, they're part of the group that helped build our network. So they're very familiar with our network, the infrastructure, and I've been working with them the past 2 years, and I think they're amazing.
Thank you.
And so the other requisition that you have in front of you is Sole Source, it's Blackboard, which provides PowerPoint presentations for our school district, for our teachers. This is going to be a resource for staff, and especially thinking about, if we have staff members who have to go out and they're sick for COVID days, several COVID days. These are lesson plans that we can easily provide to our substitute teachers to have access to.
Thank you for that.
As staff requested.
Question from the board?
Just a comment.
Yes.
I worked with Camet years and years and years ago, and so they've been around a long time. And I vouch for them.
Good to hear, good to know.
We were pleased with how quickly they came in and were able to work within our limits that we had within the admin building. It wasn't that we were gonna have to rebuild, or look at the infrastructure and wiring and all of those pieces. They were able to work with what we had there.
Well, thank you for that. Mrs. Martinez?
Okay, what I have before you today, President Flores and members of the board, is requisitions for the bathroom in Mexico. So Food Nutrition is a part of the New Mexico Food Co-op, and so we purchase our food through the back. So the three requisitions are for food, produce, and non-food. And this would be like, I want to say the second quarterly requisition for probably December, January, February. When I looked today, I did a review to see what has been paid, and pretty much all of August, September, October. So we still need the November invoices. And there are still some balances on our previous invoices, on our previous purchase orders, I should say. But this is just because we only have one meeting in December, and I want to be prepared for January.
Well, we appreciate your preparation. Thank you for that. So these are just for review, approval?
Yeah, they're over the
Yeah,
threshold, I
consent
believe,
agenda,
so,
yeah, definitely.
so I'm submitting them for your.
Thank you. Superintendent, do you have recommendations?
Yes, I recommend approval of requisition listing presented by interim assistant superintendent Mondragon and requisition listing by our food service manager and our interim finance director Monica Martinez.
All right, we have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
All right, we got a motion for approval from Vice President Golair. Do we have a second? Second from Member Cindy. Can I get a roll call?
President Flores,
Yes?
Vice President Golair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Sprague,
Yes.
Member Maestas.
Yes.
Okay, and item 2 is the minutes for the October 26, 2022 regular board meeting. I will make a motion to approve the minutes as presented in the packet. Can I get a second?
Yes. Whitney.
Vice President Golair, the second. Roll call, please.
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Golair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Member Spray,
Yes.
Member Maestas.
Yes.
Okay. Last item on the agenda is item M, upcoming meetings and agenda items to include future topics. Item MA is our next regular board meeting, which is scheduled for December 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And this will be at the administration building, but it is being hosted by our Cyber Magnet School. Item MB is our Board of Education work session, strategic plan. This is going to be November 18th, 2022, and it will be in the boardroom at the administration building from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And this is a great next step in the board and superintendent moving to improve our strategic plan. Last item is item N, adjournment. So move to adjourn. Second from Vice President Golair. You get a roll call, please?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Golair,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Secretary
Member
Trujillo?
Spray,
Yes.
and Member Maestas.
Yes.
All right, just a quick closing comments. I want to thank Taos Pueblo for hosting us. It's always a treat to be here. I look forward to it every year, and I'm looking forward to next year's also. So thank you guys.
Thank you.